clean conscience because I know I did my job right.
Joining us now with reaction, former New York City mayor and former Republican presidential candidate, Rudy Giuliani. Mr. Mayor, good to see you tonight.
Good to see you, Megyn.
Your reaction to what we just heard right there.
Quite powerful. That would have been testimony in front of a jury that would have been very, very hard to convict this man. But here's the amazing thing. I read some of the testimony today. If you look at witness number 10, not identified by name or by race, but I'm pretty sure an African-American from the discussion, he corroborates every single thing that that officer just said, including the fact that no one put their hands up. In fact, he came forward because he was angry and offended that people were lying about the fact that he was shot in the back and that Brown had put his hands up.
Wow, that's amazing.
And he describes exactly the same thing, the reaching in, the shooting, the fact that the police officer got out of the car. The police officer yelled to Brown. Brown, instead of stopping, ran toward him. The police officer shot him 2 or 3 times. When Brown stopped, the police officer stopped shooting. And all of a sudden, Brown put his head down and came at the police officer. He said something like a bull, you know, with his head down, as if to come right into him. And that's when the fatal shots were probably shot into the... And he came forward because he was so offended by the lies that were being told. You remember, there were 4 witnesses who said that Brown was shot in the back.
Not true.
Which are total lies. If that's in front of the...
One said that the officer was standing over him, shooting him.
Totally untrue. Again, disproven completely by the autopsy and the forensics. I mean, I disagree with the prosecutor on only one thing. I would prosecute all those people for perjury.
Wow, really?
Well, I mean, to testify falsely in a case in which you can put a man in jail for the rest of his life is an extremely serious
But you know
crime.
how unreliable eyewitness testimony is. I mean, I think his belief, according to him, is it's just unreliable. And so these people may believe they saw what they didn't see.
It's not unreliable. These are people who are friends of his. These are people who have an axe to grind. It's not unreliable that you think you saw hands go up when, in fact, his hands were down all the time. So
will it make any difference? Will his on-camera testimonial and the fact that he is backed up not by one but by several African-American witnesses? I mean, I want the viewers to know that, because we are told by some that this is all about race. And African-American witnesses came forward to say it is not the way folks are telling you. It is the way the officer, it is the way the white officer is telling you.
Seven witnesses corroborate his testimony. 3 of them corroborate it completely. The others corroborate portions of it. So
does it make a difference? I mean, they're still on the streets. They still burned dozens of places.
I don't know if they care. I think the racial arsonists in this country have worked these people up so much with propaganda that facts don't matter. Justice doesn't matter. It isn't justice to put an innocent man in jail. Also, every time Mr. Brown is described, he's described as a young man, and people forget he had committed a robbery. In fact, the police officer in his testimony says that Brown took some of the cigarillos and pushed them in the car.
And you know what else?
And said, take these, actually proving that he was the robber that the police officer was looking for.
Well, one of the things that jumped out at me in this interview is how young Darren Wilson seems. He's 28 years old.
He's a kid.
He was 10 years older than Michael Brown, but he's not some seasoned cop who's been on the beat for 30 years. He, too, is a young man who found himself in a very dangerous situation that was not of his own making.
Well, this should be described as a police officer who shot a man who had committed a robbery. Shouldn't be described as a police officer who shot some innocent young boy. He shot a man who had just committed a robbery. Now, it's either justified or not, and the facts suggest that it's justified. The second thing the prosecutor had to be absolutely aware of is he couldn't possibly have won this case at trial. This case
with all that evidence that supported the police officer. But I want to get this in because we're short on time. What we've seen in Ferguson last night, so far it's much more peaceful tonight. They've finally sent in the National Guard that's been there for a week. Right. Why did that happen last night?
When I was watching the broadcast, your broadcast last night, having had to deal with riots and being very proud of the fact that I had none, in the time that I was mayor, after 2 in the years that preceded me, they did one of the most biggest mistakes you could make. They allowed a cooling off period or a venting period. Remember all that time that rocks were being thrown and cars were being overturned and windows were being broken?
The police were holding back.
And the police were backing off. The rule is you can protest all you want, make all the noise you want, carry all the signs you want. The minute you throw a rock, you get arrested. The minute you break a window, you get arrested. The minute you break into a store, you get arrested.
You make an example out of the early lawbreakers.
The Giganti report that was written in 1993 says a cooling off period becomes a heating up period. And it's supported by academic research by James Q. Wilson.
You think this Governor Nixon is in over his head?
He looked to me tonight like a very nervous man, not like a man who feels like he's in charge of this situation. That could just be my impression from having dealt with lots of emergencies. And I didn't hear a lot of clear black line rules about what he expects tonight. What he should have told the people tonight is, you can protest, but if you throw a single rock, the first one that does it's going to jail, and the second one and the third one, and I have enough jails for all of you. So you want to protest? We're not breaking any windows. We're not breaking any buildings. We're not burning anything.
We're not breaking any laws.
You're all going to jail. And if I need 50,000 cops here and National Guard, they'll be here to do it.
Yeah, he's under fire from his own lieutenant governor tonight, and he will be joining us, the lieutenant governor, live in just a bit. Mr. Mayor, great to see you.